Welcome back to the podcast, y'all. Hope y'all have been enjoying your week. If you're in Texas, hope you're enjoying the rain that we have. Or we got some rain. I don't know if y'all
A
other
little
people
bit.
got some rain. I'm
Yeah, Texas
you know
is
what?
big,
No,
you
actually
forget.
no. I'm fairly confident most of the people that listen to this also got rain.
Are right here.
So
Within a 12-block radius.
we hope you guys liked it. You're welcome. I'm your host, Riley. With me, as always, is my beautiful girlfriend, Miranda.
Hey.
She has sexy red lipstick on.
Oh, stop.
It's awesome.
And it's not red.
I like
but
it very
okay.
much. Well, it looks red to me.
Okay.
What color is it? What color do you call
I didn't check the bottle.
Is it like violet?
No, I mean, it's more like I don't know.
Like a doot, you know?
A dusty something.
Anyways, men with nose
Why
rings.
did you ask me? Hot.
You like
Immediately.
that?
I'm
What's
so
your
into
feeling?
this conversation.
Okay.
Yes, hot. Into it.
Why?
Love it.
Why is it hot?
I don't fucking know. It has
So-
to be a hoop, though.
Has to be a
It
hoop.
has to be a hoop.
What if it, so it can't, what if it's a big diamond?
No, not into it.
Okay, so what is, if I have a nose ring?
Hot. Do
Yeah,
it.
you
I would
think
love
so?
it.
I'd
Yeah.
I feel like I would look like a
Nope.
like a
I would
pirate.
be. I would be super into it.
What if I just get a clip on though? I really don't feel like I would want a needle stuck through my nostril.
Why? Are you a baby? Because I pierced mine with the safety pin when I was 15.
Well, I didn't want. I don't know. It seems like it would hurt.
I mean, I did it with the safety
He
pin,
says
and it
covered in
didn't.
tattoos.
It didn't hurt that much. It's one of those piercings where it's like your eyes are gonna water because it's
Yeah.
your sinuses, so it's gonna like I don't know.
Here's
It'll
the
feel
thing,
weird
though.
more than it hurts,
Here's
in
the
my
thing.
opinion.
I don't think that I have. I'm not responsible enough for a piercing. That's the thing.
I do
I would
believe that.
forget-
I believe that. Yeah.
I would forget it, and I would close up. I would have to get it pierced several times
Well, you
because
would-
I'm either gonna wear it all the time, and I'm not gonna do that,
Which you need to do.
or I'm not gonna wear it.
Yeah.
Right, it'll come off of my nose and then it'll never go back.
That's why it has to be a hoop.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I'd want to wear it all the time. That's the thing, because I do be scratching my nose and picking my nose, and I feel like a hoop would really get in the way of my
Your nose picking, your
and I do
booger.
that a lot. I'm by
booger
myself,
Exploring.
so I be exploring up there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have an opinion on nose rings. I feel like.
So why did you bring it up then?
Because I wanted to know what you thought, because I've had a couple of people talk to me about possibly getting nose rings. And I was like, I don't
Like
know,
you
man.
should get it, or
No,
they
no,
are
that
interested.
they were thinking about getting one.
You have to tell me off air who it is if I know
And
them.
I'm like,
In general, in my opinion, men with nose rings, hot. Specifically hoops, hot.
I feel like nowadays it's more acceptable. That would not have been like, it would have been acceptable when we were kids, but it only because they assume you're gay, right? Like
Dennis
they would
Rodman
assume,
did it.
Yeah, but who had a real great? I mean, he's an awful example to use.
No, he's super
'Cause
hot.
he
was and he is super
whoa,
hot.
whoa. I mean, he's a raging alcoholic, and
I'm not saying I want to marry the man. I'm just saying I can appreciate his
he was.
physical
I mean, like,
attractiveness.
he was definitely like everybody was into him, but it also was still there was still like a reaction to him, even having nose rings. Like you might have thought it was cool,
Yeah, but he did a lot of other stuff too. Like he didn't just have a nose
Yeah,
ring.
he wore a
had
dress.
fucking pink hair and shit.
Well, he
and
wore
yeah,
a dress to
Also hot.
yeah, but people didn't assume like, oh, that's a regular guy right there. When they saw that, right? So like when you're a kid in those
That
days,
is 50% of his allure.
Yeah, well,
Is
sure.
he's a fucking weirdo.
but when you're 10, right? And your parents react well, maybe not my parents. They didn't watch sports really, so I just got it from other kids' parents that did watch and pay attention to the news and stuff like that. But or you on TV, right? You would see it on like ESPN and like Rodman's up to another thing, up to his antics again, wearing a dress and whatnot and what
Check
have
this
you.
shit out.
Yeah. He goes, he goes, and watch this shit. And then he fucking takes the microphone. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's an amazing documentary on Dennis Rodman's relationship with
North Korea, right?
North Korea, and what's his name?
I don't fucking know, man.
Not Xi Jinping. That's for China.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm thinking Team America now, so I can remember. Well, it is him. It's not him. It's his dad. That they use for Team America World Police. Awesome, awesome bit of cinnamon there. Cinema.
Awesome piece of cinnamon. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome piece of cinnamon there. But what the fuck is his name?
Kim Jong.
Yeah,
Un
Kim
or
Jong
Il?
Un. Yeah, Kim Jong Il is the dad, and Kim
Okay.
Jong Un, and he goes over. I think it's North Korea, and I don't think I actually need this that close. Apparently, my voice is pretty loud. There's been a couple comments about the shrillness of the
Me?
volume of my voice. No,
Oh.
my voice.
I think sometimes since we've stopped wearing the headphones, we kind of fuck up because we don't
I mean,
hear
fucking right.
how we change and move with the
Yeah,
mics.
but it's
Whatever.
it's not like they're not cute. So like we'll get like the wired ones when we go to Patreon
Yeah.
and we start getting monetized and
I
all
was gonna
that.
say we get you some with the kitty cat ears on top.
No, well maybe.
You know what?
I don't
You know what?
just-
Those?
That's a different. That's the one that they got to pay for,
Yeah, yeah.
right? The only feet.
Only feets.
Yeah, the
And
only
ears
feets is-
too. Also.
I was doing some research on that today, just to see, I mean, well, what do my feet need to look like? You know what I'm saying?
Like feet.
Right. That's it. And I got those.
I'm just telling you, just let me wax the top of them. Just let me get your little hobbit hair off the top of your
Honestly,
feet.
though, it may be good with the hair on there. You know what we like?
Yeah, we could try it both ways.
Because I feel like somebody who's into the hairy feet is willing to just pay damn near anything.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like they'll just pay for that. Yeah, please, hundreds of dollars. Anyways, moving on. So nose rings are okay. So if you're out there and you want to get a nose ring,
You have my approval
you have her
specifically,
approval.
apparently.
Stick it in your nose. Did you ever watch
Stick it in your nose.
Did you ever watch Meet Joe Black?
That sounds super familiar. Who was
Okay.
in that?
It's Brad Pitt, and I think Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, I think I did. I don't
Okay.
remember anything about it though.
My question on there was, so we had the movie. I've watched the end of it once.
Okay.
We had the movie in our little VCR armoire, and I never watched it. How am I able to say that and not cinema? You know what I'm saying? My brain don't work right.
Mouth don't work.
Yeah. But I never like I would never watch it. And to this day, I don't know what Meet Joe Black is about. I don't know what I know Brad Pitt is in it, and he's super handsome, and he's real young. And I think you look it up, and I'm gonna give you what I think Meet Joe Black is about.
Okay.
I think Meet Joe Black is about an alien who takes human form, and he goes to a prom with a pretty girl, and then he leaves, and that's it. That is my impression from maybe like 30 seconds. I don't know, like the last 5 minutes of the movie. But I think it is an alien that goes to. I'm pretty sure he's an alien, or something like that.
Okay.
Whose name is Joe Black, and he
Bill
goes to prom.
Parrish, who's played by Anthony Hopkins,
Yeah, I forgot about him.
businessman and devoted family man, is about to celebrate his 65th birthday. However, before he reaches that landmark, he is visited by Death, Brad Pitt, who has taken human form as Joe Black, a young man who recently died. Joe and Bill make a deal. Bill will be given a few extra days of his life, and Joe will spend the same time getting to know what it's like to be human. It seems like a perfect arrangement until Joe falls in love with Bill's daughter, which I'm assuming is Angelina.
Is it?
I don't know. It doesn't say on here.
Oh, Angelina Jolie.
She may
So
not
he's
even be
dead.
in this.
Oh, that's much darker than I thought. I thought he was an alien. So he's
No.
not an alien. He's Death,
He's Death.
and he killed Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is wild, by the way. Have you seen his TikTok? He's just on there.
No.
He's just on there living his best life.
I don't get on TikTok.
He's
But
hilarious.
that's kind of fun.
He's hilarious. Well, I have to run ours, so I end up on there from time to time.
Sorry.
So that's what Meet Joe Black's about. If you hadn't seen it, spoiler alert: Brad Pitt's death, and Anthony Hopkins probably dies at the end. Also, I forgot to
It's a
mention.
long synopsis.
I forgot to mention Happy 9/11. I think that's how you say it, right?
I don't know that happy is the right
sorry.
address.
It's 9/11. I'm sorry. Right?
I mean, you didn't do it, but
Well, I mean, people say they're sorry about everything, right?
yeah.
My condolences. Condolences. It's 9/11.
Yeah.
That's how we say it. So condolences all. It's 9/11. Where were you? Where were you on 9/11?
I think we talked about this. I was in 6th grade math class.
I was in 3rd grade class. We just did everything.
All in one.
We just had
all
one.
in one.
She did. She taught us everything. What happened? So what do you remember?
I remember it was fairly quick, like when we got to class. Like, I don't think we had a lot of time to start a lesson, but we might have been trying to start a lesson. And I just remember, like, my teacher left the room for a while, and we were all just like, fucking cutting up and doing what you do in 6th grade whenever the teacher leaves the room. And then she comes back, and I guess she told us what happened or what was happening, and then wheeled in the big TV cart, and we all watch it.
Yeah.
We were all so confused and sad and felt very weird, and it was like, what's happening? I know it's bad, but I don't fully grasp what's happening and the gravity of the situation.
I
just know bad feels.
I was in 3rd grade. I don't know what we were doing that day. I was not doing my homework.
Shapes.
Yeah, shapes. And it was shape day. And she leaves the classroom, goes to the office, and then she comes back in tears. And she tells us something happened. And then we all walk to the front office, all fucking 7 of us, walk to the secretary's office and watch the towers fall. And they were all crying. And I remember not being able to focus on the TV because people were crying, and I was like,
uncomfy.
I was like, people are watching you. People can see you right now. What are you doing? Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It was an awful
I know,
tragedy.
But I was 9, and I was like when I was 9, I remember talking to a friend of mine whose parents were getting divorced, and he was like, my parents are getting divorced, and it was affecting him. And I was 9, and my parents were like, they needed to get divorced, and I was like,
cool, congratulations.
Yeah, I was like, congratulations, that's great for you. Like 2 Christmases. I mean, it's pretty cool. Maybe you go to a cool town, you'll have new friends, Like, I was like, man, I fucking wish mine would hurry the fuck up. They're just dragging their fucking feet. Like, Jesus. Yeah, like, let's fucking go.
So, did you continue the rest of the day at school, or did y'all disband early?
Oh, no, we finished school. We're going to school.
Oh, we were out of there before lunch.
Maybe we did. Maybe we went home.
Think.
Maybe we went home after lunch.
I don't know that they, like, closed down the school, but I think it was like everybody's.
You know what I love though?
Pick up their kids.
You know what I do appreciate? We got no off day for that. We get a day for Labor Day. We get like Memorial Day. We get like all of these other days that we take off. But one of the greatest tragedies in the world, and they're like, your fucking ass needs to be at school. Right? It's like, if there was a day to give us the fucking day off, it was when all of you decided to traumatize us as children and make us watch that shit.
Yeah, hey, guess what? If you didn't want us to give a shit about it or deeply affect us, we shouldn't have been watching that live on the news.
You shouldn't have immediately rolled a TV with the towers falling and been like, I know you're 9, but check this shit out. It's a national tragedy. Like, we all got to experience one, so now you do.
Well, and I don't know if we had this talk on the podcast or if we had it off or if I had this talk with my girlfriends, but it was like our generation, that was the kickoff.
Yeah, that was 3rd grade. Yeah.
But I mean, that was the kickoff of all of the other shit that we were going to have to deal with in our lifetime.
I remember being on the school bus in 10th grade. Not 10th. Or not. Was it 10th grade?
I don't know. You should have been driving by then.
Not on the school. I don't know. I remember it was like we went to war.
Yeah, we did that for a long time.
And then it was like, I remember it being a while later.
Yeah,
and I was like,
we did that for a long time.
At least it was the end of, would have been the end of Bush's reign, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
But I was remember being like, we are still there. I mean, we stayed there past that, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But like,
We're still there, and we're still not even sure exactly what happened.
yeah, no, we're not. Well,
Or we are, and we're there for ulterior reasons, which is what I'm pretty sure.
it was always
What was
about
happening,
that, right?
but-
It was always about, I don't know. There's all the conspiracies, right? There's the ones for the oil. There's the ones for global domination.
I think that's the most
there's,
simple one. I think the oil is
makes-
the most simple one that makes the
I
most
don't,
sense.
you know, I don't know. It's crazy. I just operate under the conspiracy that it's not about global domination. It's not about anything like that. It's all about we're running out of room. We got to figure out more new and creative ways to kill people off that aren't just that aren't so straightforward like one man decided to do. And basically, in my opinion, the elites were like, "You're saying the quiet part out loud there, 80, and we need you to quit." You know what I'm saying?
I don't, but yeah, okay.
Well, I didn't want to bring up the Holocaust, but
Oh, okay.
I don't feel like all of that, like all the elites were just like, oh, that's terrible. Like I felt like they were more probably like he shouldn't have got caught. They were just like, because they're evil, right?
Yeah.
Like we're just supposed to think that they give a shit about us. No.
Well, they definitely don't.
Right.
We should not ever operate under the guise that the government has our best interests at
And
heart.
that's exactly. You're all just trying to control what we do and how many of us can do it. And there's just new, they got all sorts of stuff. And I mean, they just let us do it. We're pretty good at it ourselves already. You know what I mean? Like
What specifically?
unaliving ourselves. Like you
Oh,
don't really
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
control us.
Well, and a lot of that is due to the circumstances they put us in. So it's also still kind of them doing it. Like,
They're so good.
I know they
They're
tricked
the-
you into thinking that it's
that I
your
had
fault.
it figured out. And I didn't. It turns
Nope.
out.
Turns out.
We need Red Reddington is what we need. We need a Red Reddington to go and just like straight up just shoot people like he does. You know?
On the note of Blacklist, I would like to
Yeah,
say
let's change the tone of
Elizabeth
this.
is such an ungrateful, dumb little bitch.
She is ungrateful.
If
as
Red
fuck.
Reddington was my father,
Yeah.
not that I need to replace my father, he's great. But goddamn, Red Reddington is so cool.
He's super
He
cool.
gets shit done. He's gonna take care of you in a very real, dangerous way.
Yeah, he's super
And it's
cool guy.
fun.
Yeah, he murders people. He's got so many bodies. He's got all the money in the world, and he is James Spader. And James Spader, I have liked James Spader since I saw him in that Jack Nicholson movie, Werewolf. And they both become werewolves. Have you ever seen that?
No, but it sounds like I need to fucking immediately.
Yeah, it's young Jack. Well,
Younger.
middle-aged Jack Nicholson and young James Spader.
Can you ballpark what year that was for me?
Oh shit! It probably would have been the '80s. For sure.
Nice.
But maybe
Okay.
the late '90s, maybe the early '90s, but I'm pretty sure it was the '80s. And they both are werewolves. But like Jack Nicholson, I think becomes a werewolf first.
Are they like rival werewolves?
I think so. And then James Spader, he becomes a werewolf later, or he already is, and they're in each other's territory. It's wild, and they're
So
like
this is a gang dispute between
there's
werewolves.
like pheromones and stuff. They fight in like a horse. I remember they fighting a horse. I haven't seen it in a long time. They fight in a horse barn or some shit like that.
Yeah, I need to
Shit was
watch this
insane.
right now.
Do you remember? On another note, completely different note.
That's how the podcast works. We just
That's
kind
what
of
we do. Do you remember that show where they used to go? I just thought about this today. They used to go into your room on people's uncleaned rooms. It was on MTV. They were like, and you
Yes.
let people go through your room.
What was that show
I can't
called?
remember. I don't know, but I remember. Was it a dating show?
I don't remember.
I think it was.
I don't think so, but I don't remember.
I think it was. I think they used to get like 3 dudes. I think it was like Next, right? But they would get like 3 dudes in a van, and then they would take the girl to the dude's house, and she would go through their room while they weren't there, and just
Here's
like
the
look at
thing.
all their shit,
Here's
and then
the
be like,
thing,
oh,
though.
he masturbates. Gross.
As an adult, I almost don't hate that theory, right? Like I kind of don't mind the idea of that, like, definitely not the invasion of privacy thing, but like you can tell a lot about people from
But the invasion of privacy thing.
it's the television part, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Well, it's an invasion. No. Let's be clear. It's an invasion of privacy without cameras.
right. But I mean, for like a dating show, if you're consenting to that, but you just don't know when they're gonna come, I think I don't know. It's unique. I was gonna say cool, but it's unique. We'll go with unique. Did they do it to the women too? Because I mostly remember.
I think it was just just depending on the episode.
Whoever was because there's
Yes.
always one picking from many or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, it was all just new versions of the dating game, right? Where they put you
couldn't do that after Ronnie Alcala.
Is that why they stopped it?
I don't know. I think it went for a little while after that, but not that much longer, I don't think.
I mean, what are the fucking odds of that fucking guy being the goddamn serial killers?
Well, and he wins, and they're like backstage or whatever afterwards, and they're supposed, like they win a date or whatever it's supposed to be, and the girl's like, I'm not gonna do
I
that.
remember
She had the bad vibes and was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know why, but just being in his presence was.
Seems like he kills people.
Yeah, turns out he did.
Turns out he does kill the peoples. Yeah, I don't remember what that show was called, but I remember like watching it and the amount of like they would have girls go in there and sometimes they were messy and sometimes they weren't or whatever. But like if you had anything gross in there like porn or anything like that, everybody was so like ashamed of it, right?
Yeah, like we all didn't do it like in every late teens, early 20s dude's room in the early 2000s didn't have some kind of masturbation material.
I remember I remember like, like it being, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 when you start figuring shit out like that. I mean, it's a lot younger now, but I didn't have a computer for a long time, so.
Right.
Yeah,
computers changed the game.
I wouldn't say it was the appropriate time for me to find out, to find porn. I knew it existed, obviously. We did have Dish.
You just didn't have the access to it.
Right.
That would have made it much easier.
So, like, I didn't really even watch porn until I was probably 12 or 13 when I got a computer. And I remember you would, like, talk to girls or whatever, and, like, when you're on the phone, you're asking risque questions to try to see,
Mm-hmm.
You would ask a girl if she looked at porn or whatever, and they would like, whoop, like clutch pearls a lot of the times. But every once in a while, you'd find like a wild girl who assumed, right? You figured she was wild just because she was doing the same thing you're doing.
Also, just because she was willing to own up to it, because
right.
most the problem.
You're like, oh yeah, she puts out.
The problem. I don't like that in context of we're 13. But
putting out at 13 is like she's gonna like rub my dick on top of my pants and then go home.
Yeah, maybe I touch her boob.
Like that is weird. Me and my friend yesterday on the way back we're talking about like how ridiculous. Like back then, it's just like we're both just gonna go home all fired up, just a whole bunch of dry humping, then we're gonna go home and both be in pain.
Yep. But I think the biggest hang up on that was for women and girls. I mean, now it's different. I think a lot of women would tell you, yeah, I watch porn. Mm-hmm. But I think the hang up was calling it porn and the stigma, because fucking women be reading smut all the time. Everybody wants to watch the softcore and pretend like that's not why you're watching. Like, we're watching it for the storyline.
Yeah, I really loved 50 Shades of Grey.
I'm going to watch an hour of this movie for, 15 minutes of sporadic fucking throughout,
I watched 50 Shades of Grey.
Did you really?
Yeah, well, not like willingly. I was sitting there with my friend and his wife, and they weren't like
Was this a...
And no, and my girlfriend too.
Okay, I was like, was this a cuckold situation?
Because they wanted to watch it, right?
They need to watch it alone so they can fuck immediately after.
Well, that was the thing. Was like, no, not him and his wife. The girls wanted to watch 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
And we were just sitting there. And so we're like, okay, whatever. Like, we didn't assume, right, that it would be like that.
I didn't watch it.
And
I
was sitting there getting uncomfortable.
I knew it was basically porn.
Yeah, I was like, this is porn, y'all. This is porn. And we quit. I think we didn't watch the whole thing, I'm sure. But it may got changed. But yeah, I remember them wanting to watch. And me sitting there being like, I feel like I'm watching porn right now. But
yeah.
But those romantic novels, they sell them at Walmart, right? With Fabio on the front.
Oh, yeah.
It's just prettier. Right? It's literally
it's more acceptable.
Versus, yeah.
It's more acceptable for some reason. Well, I don't know why.
Because women know how to do things and men don't.
True.
Right? Like women are like, we want to read erotic, or we want erotic stuff, but we don't. So how do we do this? But we're ladies and we can't just be out there, being that way, at least in those days, right? Mm-hmm. So they were like, well, how do we do this? And they were like, well, let's just write a book about it.
Write it real flowery.
Yeah, just write a book about how.
But it's a romance. It's not about sex and fucking, even though they do it a lot.
And Gorge's member was waiting
Jesus
for her
Christ.
ripe mouth. Something like that.
Did you say guys. Ripe mouth?
Yeah, something like
fucking
that.
Fucking dead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make any ladies out there slide off their seats. That was just off the top of the dome.
Engorged member. Stop.
Hey, milky white. Remember that part on A League of Their Own? That's what Madonna's teaching that girl to read with, is an erotic novel.
Yeah.
Milky white breast. And then Madonna's like, turn the page. It gets good right here.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, exactly. But
women are horny. Women are horny. They are just under the impression that they can't be outwardly horny.
Yeah.
And we got to disguise it in flowery
fucking,
language.
and like fair play to that, because look what women have had to put. We just got done talking about what women had to have gone through if you were like being outwardly horny. Like you have people like Al-Qaeda, right, out there, right? You have terrible people out there. There's a episode right now.
Well, I think his guys was. I'm probably mixing him up with another serial killer, but I feel like his guys was modeling.
I don't know.
Think.
I've only listened to it a couple of times, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like fair, like it makes sense too, because men are awful.
Yeah. Yes.
And it will be like, well,
Well, and that's also the appeal, because a lot of women, I think, like, are super horny, but don't want to necessarily separate sex and romance.
Yeah.
And porn does that pretty quick.
Yes.
So I think that's the divide.
And a lot of people, you'll hear just like in conversation, if there's a porn conversation going on, somebody usually talks about like the genres, right? And I don't want to get like super in depth on it. I just want to say this one thing.
What's your favorite category on Pornhub?
But inevitably, people always talk about the amateur, right? Like the not porn actors.
Yeah.
And I feel like probably the allure to it is what you just said, is the actresses, right? And the actors, they're wonderful and they do a real good job sometimes.
They're professionals.
But there's nothing. But there's
it's
not.
Work.
Even if they're really, really playing it up,
they're going to work.
You do in the back of your mind. You're like, I don't really know if she likes it that much. You know what I mean?
She probably numb.
I ain't never heard that before, right? Yeah. I ain't never fucking heard that. Yeah. But I think the allure of the amateur is you can still kind of. It's not acting.
Yeah,
they're not acting. Yeah. They're fucking. And,
for real.
And I think what gets people going is that romance part to it at the same time. And then sometimes they're just then now everybody's. I say that might have been like 2000s, but now everybody's a fucking porn star. Like,
Right.
you don't have to go to one or two profiles to find some fucking chick. It's OnlyFans who's got like fucking 5,000 followers, and whatever. She's a personal trainer, or what the fuck ever. But anyways, everybody's a porn star now, so that point might be moot.
Nah,
I think so.
I think it still has the allure, and I think that for and probably women too. I won't even throw women out of this. I think the allure of amateur porn actors is they feel accessible. You have the illusion more that they might actually want to fuck you.
Yeah. Or even that's a person I could fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
They feel accessible. Like they're just a person.
Yeah. That you're.
So it ropes you into that fantasy of. That's me. That could be me.
That could be me. That could be my penis.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Next.
Check that one off the list like we had it written down. Jesus.
All right. So, first of all, I have something to admit to you. I always always in my brain, I always have to do this before I say this title. But Nightmare on Elm Street.
Uh-huh.
Every time before I just had to do it now. I have to stop myself from saying Nightmare on 13th Street.
You're blending.
Yeah.
Blending to...
And every time, those titles have always... I think it's because when they did the Freddy versus Jason stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, I watched Freddy versus Jason.
Was it good?
It was ridiculous.
Okay. Well,
it's worth the watch for the giggles.
As ridiculous as regular Freddy?
More. They lean into it so hard. I remember seeing that in theaters. I would hope so. And yeah, they lean into it way hard. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, so let's talk about this. All right, so she has been watching Nightmare on 13th Street Fridays.
Stop. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Friday on 13th Street.
Well, because I don't know about y'all, but it's already spooky season for me. And my favorite slasher franchise is Halloween. And I've seen those front and back, save the Rob Zombie ones, multiple times. And I had a moment where I was like, I'm going to watch Halloween again annually, all fucking 12 of them or whatever. And then I was like, no. And I was like, I'll watch Nightmare on Elm Street. And the first one I've seen 20 or 30 times probably. I love that one. It's incredible. And I've seen the second one, I guess 2 or 3 times. And I was like, I should just watch this whole series. Like, there's so many. It's been so long for me. I don't know why I haven't watched them. But they do get progressively much sillier.
Much more sillier.
The longer you go.
Well, so the one specifically I wanted to talk about is the third one, where, like...
That's the one where Nancy comes back, right?
Yeah.
As the...
Yeah. I'm the worst to watch Nightmare on Elm's scary movies with.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
He is the worst to watch horror films with.
Let me rephrase that. I'm the worst to watch these kind of horror films with because...
Hokey, corny,
because
practical effects.
I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. I'm definitely going to sound like an asshole right now. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but I, like, really thoroughly enjoy cinema and, like, would consider myself...
Push the glasses higher up on your nose.
Right. I know. I would consider myself a bit of, not like an actual movie buff, but like when it comes to watching, because how many times do I point out, like, let's watch this movie, and you're like, all right, it's all right, and I was like, it's won like hundreds of awards, right? You like the Jesse James movie with Brad Pitt, like that's an amazing film.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
No, you didn't. I'm not saying you didn't like it, but you were just like,
I also prefer the beautiful masterpiece of The Last Days of Frank and Jesse James with Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson and Marsha Cross and all of that clan.
But just to bring myself down a peg, my favorite movie is Nacho Libre. So.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing fucking movie, though. Anyways.
I would like to hear your.
Oh, I thought
your
you were going to go
qualms
into how
with-
terrible it is to watch
Oh, it
movies with
is.
me.
Okay, so the point I was getting at is I love horror films and I love the hokey corny ones with the bad effects and the holes in the plot line. And because I know what I'm getting into when I watch them, right? And I'm here for a good time. Here for some kills and some titties and some I've said this so many times on the podcast before. I'm here for the titties and the gore, fam. That's what I want, okay? And I am able to put my brain in a space where I see the silly things and I don't get hung up on them and can enjoy the movie as a whole. But if I'm watching them with Riley, we got to pause so he can pick everything apart and ask questions and point out stuff and laugh and not ruin, but take me out of the experience that I'm trying to have.
All right, well, let me just hang on a minute. Now, specifically, the third one, just because I remember it as best I can. There are most things, like, it's funny to me, right? A lot of it's funny to me, but most things I do I'll just look at her and then we'll giggle. But there are some things that I'm just like, I mean, come on. And specifically, so in the third one, the doctor, right? The doctor goes, and in my defense, I bitch about like stupid professionals in every movie, right? Where they're being like willfully ignorant, and they're like, just because you've gone through it yourself doesn't mean you know anything about it. That kind of attitude, right?
Right.
Like, I know you're the only person who's ever experienced this, but why would we listen to you? You're 20. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I bitch about that on every movie. But so the doctor goes down to the boiler room, I think in the hospital. Yeah, he goes to meet that other lady in the wing in the hospital. It's all burned down. And she's a nun.
Okay, yeah.
And she's there, and she's spooky, and we don't know where we don't know why she's there. It's not a religious. I don't even think it's a religious mental hospital.
No,
She
she's
fucking
got this little altar in the corner.
She fucking shows up. First of all, she just shows up at a fucking funeral after one of the kids fucking dies because Freddie
the
fucking got
cemetery,
him.
and it looks like she's maybe like cleaning up graves or something.
So she got a little altar there in the burnt down place. The guy goes down there and talks to her, and it's movie number 3, and we're finally getting some more backstory on Freddie. And
guess what? It's fucking ridiculous.
Guess what? It is fucking sillier than hell. So this lady, she tells a story about a young woman who worked in that wing of the psych ward, and she was working in there with all them crazy motherfuckers who didn't need to be there, and they were all real crazy.
Yeah, violently mentally ill.
Mentally ill patients. And
what do they call it? Criminally insane.
The criminally insane, whatever that means. That's one of those 80s euphemisms,
yeah.
right?
But that was the terminology she used, I'm pretty sure. Criminally insane.
So apparently they just locked her ass in there over the weekend.
Accidentally locked her in over the weekend with all the crazies.
With all the crazy people, and they raped her.
A bunch.
And then she says, that girl's name, what was it? Jessica?
No, Amanda Kruger.
Amanda Kruger. And then she says, yes, Freddy Krueger is the bastard son of 100 maniacs.
Yeah.
Okay, pause.
That's not how sex works.
Sex don't work like that. We got maybe one maniac, I think. But like, how are we to assume, first of all, that that none of them aren't sterile, right? You know, a few of them are going to be sterile.
Yeah.
Right? But like, the bastard son of 100 maniacs right there was like, all right, there's a 14-year-old writing this story.
But because cinematically, like, it kind of punches, you know, it kind of like, ooh, ew.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because of the situation, but also it doesn't, what it is.
This is like 1984 or something.
What it
also.
is a beautiful demonstration of movie making in the like 80s,
And that's what I'm
70s,
saying
and
when I
80s.
say, like, I like the shit. And so when I watch these things, I go into that different space of, I know what I'm getting myself into, you know?
That's why I used to not like watching them, but like watching you watch them, and then also just watching them, like the same reason I laughed at like Paranormal Activity.
Hmm.
We were like cracking up in the.
I don't think I ever watched that one.
It's all right, but
I don't love, like, real ghost shit, sure, but, like, I don't love that style of, I don't know. Maybe I should watch it.
I think it's kind of spooky, but I've always watched scary movies like that and giggled at all the silliness in it. I've always been like, I don't know. It just takes me out of it every time. But I enjoy watching you watch it, and I enjoy picking a little bit at you about it. But we do, because don't get it twisted, like, she will start to pause it and point shit out as well. Like, lately,
Yeah,
you've
because
done it a lot
because
too.
that's the vibe when we watch it together.
Yeah.
Is like I said, if I'm watching it alone, I'm not gonna be giggling. So, like, I'll be giggling to myself, but I'm not gonna, like, yell at the screen as much, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're there, we're gonna do that because I know you're thinking it, and I've noticed it because I'm in a different space than I would be if I was watching it alone, ready to just fully accept all of the nonsense that's being thrown at me.
I think the weirdest thing is my brain is like, there's supposed to be a reaction being elicited,
it's
right?
not happening.
And it's not happening because it's not scary. And it wouldn't have been scary to me as a kid. It's funny because it to think it was so scary back then. Or not maybe it's so scary, but it was scary back then in the 80s. And like that was considered like top tier scary movie.
No, well, but also slashers aren't inherently meant to be scary like that. Like,
There's a lot of jump scares in Halloween.
sure, I mean, not a lot.
He's always popping out of somewhere.
No, he's walking slowly behind you, way too slowly. Way too slowly. But I think slashers are just a different breed of horror film. Like, it's not, you're not going to go home and be scared to go to sleep, you know?
Yeah,
It's
that was
not-
the
it's
ones that
not
I always
like
got
that.
to. Those were the ones that I always got to experience as a child, like Hills Have Eyes and stuff like that. And Strangers, that was not cool.
I didn't see that one.
That one is not fun. It's very real.
That's a home invasion one, right?
Something like that. Well, it's these people live out in the country,
Yeah.
and people with bags on their head are fucking with them outside. And I live out
a
in the
home
country.
invasion.
Yeah.
See, like that one, I think I didn't watch on purpose because of that, and then I didn't watch the Purge stuff. The only home invasion horror film I've watched that I liked was Hush.
Oh yeah.
It's Theo from Haunting of Hill House. But she's deaf, and she's kind of living somewhat in the middle of nowhere, and she's just moved into this place, and like can't call 911, you know.
Yeah.
But it's super.
Have you ever had?
I watched it alone, and I did not enjoy it.
Have you ever had a scary experience? Not like home invasion or anything, but just like a like a ghost.
A
or
ghost.
Like a spooky something.
The one at the B&B that we went to.
What?
And I know you don't believe me.
Elaborate.
All right. So.
Oh yeah, the one at the wedding, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell me that.
So where were we?
Down around Houston, I think.
Were we? Anyway, I don't know where we are.
Yeah. it was
But we got an Airbnb, and we're in this guest house, and we walked in, and I immediately was like, this place is old as fuck. Because the wood floors were like big plank, like chunky plank wood floors. And I could just feel it because I'm woo-woo like that, and I knew it was old. anyway, I'm not gonna tell the whole story but long story short, I just had a vibe that there was something in the house, and then when we were falling asleep, we were listening to. I mean, Riley's already out, fucking snoring. We were listening to rain sounds, and I heard a like little girl's laugh, and kind of like sat up and looked around, and I talked myself out of what I heard because I was like, well. A lot of these fucking sleep sound podcasts, people just put a mic out somewhere so you can hear cars passing, you can hear a bunch of shit. So I was like, maybe it was a child on the recording. And I lay back down and I'm trying to go back to sleep and I heard it again and I was like, oh. And then when I fell asleep, I had a dream about a little shadow girl leading me into the kitchen of that same place, which also I'm never in the same place in my dreams where like I fell asleep. That doesn't happen. But yeah, this little shadow girl leads me into the dining room of that place and like crawls under the table and I go to look for her. And then when I stand up, there was this like full blown apparition that had like half of her brain sticking out. And I woke up super fucking scared. But like in the dream, it didn't feel like she wanted to hurt me. It was just like she was fucking scary. And it seemed like the little girl was trying to get me to acknowledge and or help her. Like it felt like a mother-daughter situation.
Ooh. Yeah, see, I remember you telling me about, I think I woke you up.
Yeah, I was screaming. You woke me up screaming. Like, I was screaming and you woke me up because I was screaming in my sleep.
Well, you weren't screaming.
I was doing but I was screaming in my dream, but I was doing the closed mouth, trying to scream thing.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you gotta wake up. Chill out.
And then you gaslit me about that for 3 days after that.
What? When? What did I say?
Every time I brought it up, you were just like, she's fucking bonkers. The
I did
tax
not say
records only
that.
go back to the 70s.
That's what I said. You said this was a slave quarters.
I said it was probably servant quarters or a mother-in-law. Well, I guess mother-in-law's attached, but like something like that.
So what I did was I got on the internet and I looked up the address to that place and the records to it, and the records on that whole place only go back to like the 70s. The tax records do. Yeah, as far as like having a house on the place.
Yeah, but there's a 0% chance that there would be like that house wasn't built in the 70s.
The one we were in, it could have. I mean, it could have not been a house though. Like it could have been like. What it looked like to me was like a barn that got converted into a house. Maybe.
The floors though, but also
But you can just finish those.
Also, there was a ton of antique furniture in there that was definitely older than the 1970s, and we've watched and listened to enough of shit to know that spirits can attach to items.
Yeah, they did have.
So maybe it was that. Maybe it was the dining table. Maybe it was that big dining table that was in there.
That was a nice place
that she was attached to.
I'll be
Even after that experience, if I had lived there and they rented that out, I'd rent that place. I'd like to live in.
Yeah, it was really nice. If like,
I feel like I could free that spirit from whatever she's stuck in limbo, and I feel like I could help.
You know, go back.
Yeah.
Knock on their door. I need to stay in your house. There's a spirit.
You don't have to pay me, but this lady, I think she was bludgeoned or maybe shot in the head, and she's just been caught between
just a whole lot of up-close
realms
videos of you
for a while.
A lot of up-close videos of your face.
Yeah, Blair Witch style, just like snot dripping down my nose.
Yes, exactly. They lost their dog that night. I felt real bad.
Yeah.
I think he came back, but the people who owned it, they lost their dog. He was a sweet bowl. Anyways.
Back to Nightmare on Elm Street.
So I haven't. The only experience I've had that was scary like that was that crazy man being loose on our ranch, and
that's real life scary. That's not paranormal.
So like that's
scary.
I wonder if that's affected me, like scare wise, right? Like maybe that's why I can't watch something like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare
on Elm Street, and get into it because it's like
I've been more scared in real life.
That is the. I mean, I was frightened.
Yeah,
I was straight up frightened. I heard footsteps on the goddamn metal porch. My bedroom was right by there, and I went to go tell my mom and dad, and nobody fucking cared.
Yeah, I
And I
hate
was
that.
like,
Hate
this
that.
is cool. I'm right by it. So I'll be the first to die. This is great.
Yeah.
And so then I slept outside in front of my dad's room. And then I got up and I went got back in bed and fucking laid there and was shaking. I was so fucking scared
How young?
and so fucking mad. I was
How?
like kindergarten. I was
Yeah.
in
Okay.
kindergarten. I was 6.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a crazy man outside.
Yeah.
And he has been for a while.
Yeah.
That, and then, let me see. Always have, so I've never had ghost experiences, but I have had, I don't want to say spiritual.
Let's not delve too deep into this because, like, we need October content too. So don't tell all your secrets.
No, I'm just saying I haven't had any ghost experiences, but what I would compare it to are um, happenings, right? So, like,
That's the horror movie that Riley's gonna make, The Happening.
the happenings. Yeah, you never, and nobody knows. It's just like,
I
that's
feel
weird.
like that
It's
exists
just a bunch
already.
of, just a bunch of, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's what it's like. So, like, uh, let's take Floyd for instance, right? And he's a good bow, but when we would leave, so I would drive from Abilene to Albany,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was living there, or from Albany to Abilene when I was living there, either way, and we would leave Albany, and about the time we would get to where the ranch I grew up on started, he would start like freaking out and
Like
like
whining or
whining
barking?
and whining every time. Couldn't calm him down. And then we would pass it. After we got past it, he would usually chill out by the time we got to Abilene, and he would do that every single time, right?
Weird.
So that's where I'm like, that's like
That's a
that's
happening.
not a thing, but it could be a thing. Like that's weird.
Well, it's
that
definitely.
my dad is dead, and now the dog that I have.
Were y'all living there whenever he passed?
No,
Oh,
but now the dog.
but his spirit still could be tied because he was there for a long time, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's why I was like, I wonder if that's a thing, and
Well, dogs and babies,
mhm.
they got the eyes to see through the veil. They haven't been tainted by life and skepticism.
I see, and Floyd, when we were in the camper, he used to like, and that's something that my dad would always tell me was like, you got to pay. So I'll tell you a story, one spooky story to round us out here.
Okay.
I won't tell them all, but I'll tell you this one, and then this is why I pay attention to what Floyd does. So when I was a kid, he always used to tell me this story about this house near him where he grew up, and he said it was haunted. Everybody said it was haunted. So what he would do was, I don't know why I say what he do. He did it once. They got a cat. Him and a friend of his. They got a cat, and they
Just
took
like a
it with
stray,
them.
neighborhood stray?
I think it was maybe his cat.
Okay.
But they took it to the haunted house, and then they sat in the front of it in the foyer, and they just sat there and drank beer and were just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, he said, well, we brought the cat so that way we would watch what the cat was doing, and that cat would just lay there. And he said he was laying there with his little, his paws crossed and everything. And then if that cat did anything, that meant
Something's there.
And so he said, sure enough, after, I don't know how long, I can't remember. He said the cat like head got up and started like moving real slow, like it was watching something. And my dad and his friend were like, "Oh goddamn!" And he said that cat sat there and he watched it, whatever it was, slowly leave, and then he just laid his head back down. And then he said he probably did that a couple more times, going each direction. And I was like, "That's spooky." And so he does that fucking shit, and that's why I get mad at him when he barks like that.
Yeah.
Because when he just barks at people being people outside.
Well, and see, that's why I don't trust him.
Yeah,
but
not anymore.
If Bruno barks, somebody's breaking in or there's a ghosty.
Yeah, or
Like,
somebody. Yeah.
because he don't.
Well, he does it, but he won't. He doesn't bark at ghosts. He just he's never react. I've seen him do it a couple of times, where we were in the where were we? I can't even remember where we were the times he's done it, but like he would be laying there and then he'd pick his head up and look around, but he won't react, and then he'll lay his head back down. But that was the shit that like my grandma and shit would
But I think that
teach
that to
us.
me is just more like if he is seeing something, it's not a threat.
Yeah,
Like it's a chill
it's a chill
ghost.
ghost. I think most ghosts are probably chill. I feel like all of the things that people say, it's fantasy football season, y'all.
And he can't silence it for some reason.
Well, I forgot that my iPad's gonna go off. But
Uh-huh.
anyways, I feel like most ghosts are probably like if ghosts are real,
They are.
if ghosts are real,
They are.
uh, then I feel like they are mostly not benevolent. That's the wrong word. What's the word for like um, a
Yeah.
tumor that ain't gonna hurt you?
Benign.
Benign.
Same.
Same thing.
Benevolent
Okay.
is the
I
same.
thought benevolent was like
Malevolent is bad. Benevolent
I thought
is
that was
like
good,
neutral.
not neutral.
Well, it's this benign. It means the same. Like
Yeah,
it's
so a
not. There's not
benign.
a good tumor. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, a
It's a.
benign
It's a.
ghost.
It's not gonna hurt you tumor.
It would make more logical sense that they would be benign um, apparitions and or like spirits.
Right. Well, I think there's different kinds, right? Of like, I think some of it is just like if somebody dies in a really tragic or sudden way, I think that energy can kind of imprint on the space. And so I think sometimes it's not an actual spirit there, it's just the energy imprint of what happened.
Yeah.
Um, but I think a lot of times, if somebody is stuck or trapped or still here in that way, I think they if they were good people, it's probably good, right? But they come across as scary because it's scary to have somebody opening your cupboard or whatever that you can't see. But I also think I'm in the supernatural CW school of belief where
Every week on CW,
not anymore.
right after Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. Um that the longer a spirit is trapped in one place, the more frustrated they get and the more volatile and potentially angry
Mm-hmm.
they get.
Is that why you don't like possession movies?
I don't dislike possession movies. I think
That
they're fun.
stuff used to like really
That
get
fucks
to
me up because I believe in it and I'm not religious. So I don't know how like it's the cognitive dissonance I hold when I watch those.
Well,
Um
that's the thing though. I don't think you have to be religious to believe in spirits. You don't have to be religious. I think religion is just a lens of looking uh, at spirits,
Right.
or
Yeah,
of
but
how to
in that
understand or how to understand them in some kind of way that also makes you feel also helps you deal with life itself, right? Like there is another, there may be another plane for sure. I would think probably more like in the simulation realm, that, like where it's multidimensional as far as instead
mhm,
of like up there, in the clouds kind of
yeah.
shit. Um, but I don't think you need to be necessarily religious to say. I think because it would be energy, right? It would be you can. There's good energy and bad energy, right? Like take the dating game, right? The fucking chick that went out with Rodney Alcala, and she says,
She
I'm,"
didn't go out with
or
him, but
that
yeah.
was gonna or whatever, and didn't met him and was like, nah,
No.
I'm fucking good. Like that's exactly what that, and he's a serial killer. Like the fucking dude that I worked out in the same fucking room as my class 2 years ago turned out to be into kitty porn.
Oh yeah, gross.
Right? And
I
I was
remember
like,
that
I
guy.
fucking knew there was a reason. Like,
I didn't like
I
him
didn't like
other
him or
than that
didn't
he
want
was
to.
annoying.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it was just like I don't really want to be. What you give me a physical reaction.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, right?
but I don't like it.
And now I know, but I think so. I think that's a valid that is a valid point to make without having to be, contradictory to yourself.
I just mean
Spirits, if spirits are
more.
energy, then that actually fits more with your thesis. If the spirit you believe is more like the energy of that thing,
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm
no,
saying like I'm saying I think there are truly spirits from people left over, trapped, attached to objects, a place, or they're just too afraid to cross over or
hmm
whatever. Um, but I think in other instances, the spirit will have left and the imprint of that event, like tragic murders or car accidents or crazy things that are just like very sudden, very violent and traumatic. I think just the energy of that event as a whole can kind of imprint. Do you know what I mean?
hmm
And it kind of just like, because you hear stories where it's just like replayed in a loop. Like there's one, I can't remember where it is. I feel like it's a hotel or a mansion or some shit somewhere, but a bride, the story is, the lore is she fell down the stairs on her wedding day or after or some shit. Um, and when she's seen again and again, it's in that same loop of being on that staircase in her wedding dress. You know, like that's one of the ones that I think is like, it's not a sentient spirit here trying to figure out how to cross over or whatever. It's
stuck.
just that imprint of that one event that was such a big deal
Yeah,
in
like
that
Civil War
space that it's
hospitals.
like a,
People always see like the soldiers walking through the Civil War hospitals, and
yeah,
it's like I don't think that that is. I don't think that that is a, like you said, sentient spirit or whatever. Like that, he's not doing anything.
right. That's
He's
just the
yeah.
leftover.
He's just walking that way for the eternity,
Right, but
right?
it's not him. It's just that residual
And that's the thing.
energy,
That's the
in
thing
my
too.
opinion.
It's like, oh, you watch those ghost shows, right? Like Ghost Adventures, and it's like, man, I don't feel like they would want that. They would want to be, perceived like that, right? Like they're like, speak to me in this little fucking whatever they got their little, and then he's like, Crystal, and they're like, Crystal, who is Crystal? Who is Crystal? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He said Crystal.
I don't
And it's
like
like,
ghost shows.
how
They're
long?
all so asinine.
They never. Also, how long have you been listening to that static?
Yeah.
Right? Like, have you
Yeah.
been sitting here for 45 minutes listening to till it
Yeah.
says till you hear Crystal?
Yeah.
Right? Because he never says anything else, and there's never a wound, right? They're always getting attacked, but it's always like a smack mark or something like. No.
The cameraman Joe could have put on your back.
Yes, exactly. And he's
Yeah.
like, he freaking hit me. And it's like, did he hit you? Right? Because I want to see you get like hurt.
I want to see it in the horror movies, like it appears real time and you can't see anything happening, but it's the 3 little claw marks or whatever on the chest. I want to see that. Then I'll believe you.
What was it you said? It's got to be 3, not 4, or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, that is in like demon possession and demon attacks. It's 3 claw marks.
If it's 4, then what is it?
It's fake.
It's a werewolf.
The 3 is it's the mocking the Holy Trinity.
Ah, I did not see. We got to start we'll start a ghost service, right? Like that one lady, like those one people.
Oh, the Warrens?
Yeah, like them. But
We're not going to be Ed and Lorraine Warren.
But we won't be summoning any ghosts. We'll come in there, right? And you'll be all.
Am I going to pretend to be psychic?
Yeah, you'll be very woo woo, right? And I will be very logical and be like, it looks like you've got a dead rat in your vent. That might be the dead smell that you've been permeating through here. So, and you
and I'm just crying in the corner. I'm like, no, somebody died here. I can feel it.
Yep, there it is. It'll be $750. That's gross. Anyways, that would be how it would go, right?
Sure.
Just like what's his name on the Spooky House show, The the House on the Haunted Hill.
Haunting of Hill House. I just brought it
Yeah,
up like
that
10
one.
minutes ago.
But you didn't say that one. You just said the one lady who plays.
I said it's
Oh, did you say
Theo
that?
from Haunting of Hill House.
Okay, you did
Or I
say
think
that.
maybe I just said Hill House,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Theo. Anyways,
Thank you for doing that again.
It's my favorite.
It wasn't the first time wasn't enough.
It's not enough. It's never. Every time I hear the name Theo, I have to go Theo. Anyways, like him, where he goes in and he's like, "You got water damage, and that's why you keep feeling
Yeah.
water dripping on your head. It's not your dead husband who had a car accident." And
Yeah, but then he does
the
all that,
stop
and then he
sign.
goes and is haunted and visited by his dead sister and
that
experiences
shit
a lot
was
of shit.
wild.
Yeah.
That shit was.
If y'all have not watched
It's pretty good.
The Haunting of Hill House, it's incredible.
You know what the worst part
and
about?
it's Mike Flanagan, our best friend.
You want to know what the scariest part about that movie to me was?
What? It's a series, but yes.
Yeah,
What?
about the series? The aneurysm. Their boyfriend gets up in the middle of the night
Oh,
and just
yeah.
has an aneurysm and dies. And I was like, you have any idea how many mornings I wake up and think about having an aneurysm?
Anytime I get the faintest hint of a headache, I'm
Every
like,
time.
Here it is.
I'm fucking dead.
And I've been thinking about that
frightened.
before I saw that shit, and
Yes.
that shit didn't even stick with me all that much because it's something I was already worried about.
Yeah, I'm worried about that every single day. I'm worried about it. But I think there's precursors. I don't know. I don't trust.
Sometimes there's not,
Yeah. Well,
and there's nothing you can do. You
no,
just
you just die. And that's the worst.
And it's
Anyways,
over.
I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up, guys. So I appreciate y'all tuning in.
Turning in.
Turning in. We're gonna turn in.
Yeah.
Go check out all our shit. It's all posted on the notes
All the shits on the
website.
shit. Check out
Go
the
check
shit.
out our YouTube channel, Latchkey Kids on YouTube. Latchkey Kids on everything. All of our links are in the summary. Go get some merch, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.